will be glorified. Here we are now in the darkness within. Here we are now as our song sings. Here we go on this path of ascension. Here we dive to a place that's hard to mention. I held the good spark, the calling of your soul.
Hello and welcome to this live edition of Transcending Ascension. But today we dive into A Course in Miracles. This is going to be a Course in Miracles series surrounded by like-minded people interested in becoming teachers. If they aren't teachers yet, they will be, because that's the entire mission of the course. And we're going to dive today right into the meat of it, because I know that social media is filled with what it's about and all the things around it. And you've heard people talk about the book. I want you to hear the meat of the book right off the bat. And I picked one of the juiciest chapters that you can find. There's deeper ones that will take you further, but this one I feel like can resonate off any audience. So if you care about knowing your soul and the deeper truths, then listen into this lesson. We're diving into Chapter 7, Section 3, and I'm finding this available for free on you can see the website. No, you can't see the website. It is just ICIM, A Course in Miracles, so ICIM.org, and it'll bring you to the text, and it can even read it to you if you're on your phone. So here we go. The reality of the kingdom. The Holy Spirit teaches one lesson. And the Holy Spirit, because I'm going to dissect this, the Holy Spirit is the permeation of Christ consciousness, the conscious part of God that permeates our being at that highest God.
Yeah, we just held a bit of space to Diana. I'm sure you can read it on there. Are you back?
Oh, good. I'm back. Thank you.
Permeate,
So
I think we got to.
where did I cut out? Okay, so the Holy Spirit teaches one lesson and applies it to all individuals in all situations. Being conflict-free, he maximizes all efforts and all results. By teaching the power of the kingdom of God himself, he teaches you that all power is yours. Its application does not matter. It is always maximal. Your vigilance does not establish it as yours, but it does enable you to use it always and in all ways. When I said, and this is coming from Jesus, Christ consciousness, I am with you always, I meant it literally. I am not absent to anyone in any situation because I am always with you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. You did not make this power any more than I did as God, the Holy Spirit. It was created to be shared and therefore cannot be meaningfully perceived as belonging to anyone at the expense of another. Such a perception makes it meaningless by eliminating or overlooking its real and only meaning. God's meaning waits in the kingdom because that is where he placed it. It does not wait in time. It merely rests in the kingdom because it belongs there as you do. How can you, who are God's meaning, perceive yourself as absent from it? How can you be separate from God when it's the all? You can see yourself as separate from your meaning only by experiencing yourself as unreal. This is why the ego is insane. It teaches you that you are not what you are. That is so contradictory. It is clearly impossible. It is therefore a lesson you cannot really learn and therefore cannot really teach. Yet you are always teaching. You must therefore be teaching something else, even though the ego does not know what it is. The ego then is always being undone and does suspect your motives. Your mind cannot be unified in allegiance to the ego because the mind does not belong to it. Yet there is treacherous. Yet what is treacherous to the ego is faithful to peace. The ego's enemy is therefore your friend. I said before that the ego's friend is not part of you because the ego perceives itself at war and therefore in need of allies. You are not at war. Must look for brothers and sisters, all whom you see as brothers, because only equals are at peace, because God's equal sons have everything they cannot compete. Yet if they perceive any of their brothers as anything other than perfect equals, the idea of competition has entered their mind, which means we all must be peers. Do not underestimate your need to be vigilant against this idea because all your conflicts, because all your conflicts come from it. It is the belief that conflicting interests are possible and therefore you have accepted the impossible is true. Is that different from saying you perceive yourself as unreal? To be in the kingdom is merely to focus your full attention on it. As long as you believe you can attest to what is not true, you are accepting conflict as your choice. Is it really a choice? It seems to be, but seeming and reality are hardly the same. You who are the kingdom are not concerned with seeming. Reality is yours because you are reality. This is how having and being are ultimately reconciled, not in the kingdom, but in your mind, because the all is mind and there's no time and space. The altar there is the only reality. The altar is perfectly clear in thought because it is a reflection of perfect thought. Your right mind sees only brothers because it sees only in its own light. God has lit your mind himself and keeps your mind lit by his light because his light is what your mind is. This is totally beyond question. And when you question it, you are answered. Now, hello, the Hermetics, the all is mind. Like, this is Hermetic. The answer merely undoes the question by establishing the fact that to question reality is to question meaninglessly. That is why the Holy Spirit never questions. His sole function is to undo the questionable and thus lead to certainty. The certain are perfectly calm, and this is what this book will do for you. Because they are not in doubt. They are not in doubt. They do not raise questions because nothing questionable enters their mind. And this is not dogma, trust me. This holds them in perfect serenity because this is what they share, knowing what they are. Now, if you don't read the Kabbalion first, I can see why that sounds woo-woo and why people are like, oh, that's just a cult. Just listen to the cult. Don't listen to yourself. No, if you read the Kabbalion, that is clearly because the Kybalion is like the science of how the universe works. But then this is the manual of what to do with it. So let's go around the circle and get some thoughts.
All right, well, let's start with Sam since we've lost Diana. So what are your thoughts, Sam? Your mic's on mute. Sam?
Oh, my mic was on.
Like I was trying to fix it at the same time. So okay.
Sorry, go on, Diana. What were you going to say, my love?
Anyone else hear Sam? I didn't hear Sam.
Can you hear
No,
me?
she didn't say.
Yeah, Sam,
Yeah,
you were
your
mic'd
mic
the whole
was on
time.
mute before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was saying then. It happens. No, I like what you were saying about the Hermetics. I mean, we touched on that the other day, didn't we? About how they're the principles, that because it is the Kabbalion will lay out the universe principles, and this is just a way to access that. I'm still kind of chewing over that. There's a few things that I've got resistance to, which is
And
the
then
don't.
yeah, then let's hear it because then I can tell
Yeah,
you what it means because I know it can say things, but if you read the whole book, it makes it clear. The problem is when it's read. Yeah, so let me hear the question.
right. So it's the not. It's actually the not questioning. Because I'm trying to reason that out. Because
Okay, so let me just jump in because there's a reason. Because
okay,
it speaks from the depths of the all of the all. The all. No time and space. All there is God, and we are that God. So when it says don't question, it's not saying don't question the rules because it doesn't give you rules. It's telling you the platform in which you live upon. And honestly, it's kind of like, if anything, condescending because it's like, if you have any brains, you'll just do this. You know what I mean? If you're in your God-centered self, this is the way to be. And that's how I've come back around on it. But I know what you mean when people say that's why people call it a cult. That's why I feel so passionate about when they say that because they're meaning it deeper. People are seeing it shallow because I've been in those, YouTube cults where they're like, don't listen to anyone but me. Who are you? Like, and this isn't giving rules. This is just telling you the truth, and it's saying you don't want to question it because it's just the all. It's you're questioning that you are God, and that's the totality of existence. And if you're not at that place yet to establish that, then that's why people
okay. So
you
that's
are.
why people. but yeah, so the thing that I was kind of getting at, it's like, that does make sense. So it's actually coming at it from the place of, sorry, Diana, go on.
No, you go ahead. Oh, was I out? I didn't even know I was out.
Yeah, you went out just at the end. It was just more to do with like, that makes more sense. So you're looking at it actually like it's the gnosis, isn't it? Is what it's basically saying. When you gnosis as good. So when you come into that flow state, that divine state of the all, you will just know it inside. You'll feel it in the heart space, won't you? Because that's the place of knowing. So it's not saying don't question things, obviously, because we're in an illusionary reality. But the thing that I was coming to was sovereignty. But I suppose you have to be supremely sovereign to be able to trust your gnosis. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, because what I got into was, and you are the totality of the all. So it's actually the resistance is experiencing that you are the all. And this thing is speaking to you like you are the all as well. And it's going to talk to you like you should also know that. So when it says like, there's no other way, because when you understand the totality of being the all, it is sovereign discernment though, 100%. Because what would you do if you were God? Literally, book is going to teach you to live as a human, but as God, as a human. And that's why the world will be changed, because when that many people, and it's not rules, it's just understanding the depths of our reality. Did you have any other questions?
Not right now, no. I'm gonna let somebody else have a little speak, I think.
Okay, Kirsten, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, absolutely love that the Kybalion is a basis for this, because I have said for years that is the basis of everything. If you read that book, it just really puts things in perspective. So I would recommend everyone read that book as they dive into this. The other thing that I really felt, and it's not really a question, but it's just that it spoke so deeply to me about things that are going on in my life right now. And it was almost like God just came right through and said, this is what you need to see. And the thing I love about every work of literature is that whatever you need to see at the time, that's what you're going to read when you read it. And it was just like, it just hit me right here. You know, the whole thing about you're not at war. That really hit me, because I felt for so many years that I was at war with everything. And I still kind of feel that in so many ways. And mostly it's a war with myself. I've come to find, of course. So I'm just kind of blown away here, and I want to process a little bit more. So Spinja, yeah. What do you have to say?
What did you see in that? Did you have any questions to pull from it?
Spinja?
I think she's jammed. That's not me this
We've
time.
lost her. Oh, there she is. Oh,
Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, there you go.
It's my phone. I apologize. I keep hitting the wrong button because I'm trying to turn the volume down. So my question. Okay, so there was one piece that said your right mind sees only brothers because it sees only in its own light. So I'm wondering, so those of us who are doing the shadow work and working on healing and moving forward, is that why it feels like it's becoming increasingly difficult to maneuver in this construct? Like there's a lot of people that haven't done the work or won't even acknowledge or have no idea. And I know, like, for Dawn and I, it just feels like it. And I think I have a feeling I'm speaking for everybody here. It just feels like it's getting heavier and just harder and harder to maneuver, like, but at the same time, when you see somebody, like, meeting new people, you can see them, and it is, but so yeah, I guess, like, would this be why things might be feeling more denser for us these days? Like, one of the many reasons.
100%, because as you become more soul aligned, that goes into authenticity and your craving for that authentic nature. That's why it's funny you said like the brothership, because it gets in very deep detail about the brotherhood, or sorry, the sonship. They call it the sonship. And you just feel it, and that craving and that space that we've all felt, that like, I want to go home. It's in the sonship. I have found it there. Even like we are making our own sonship, like we are creating these units, and so we crave that higher level, that higher soul calling of just like, because authenticity, we say this as a word and like as a way to be, but authenticity is simply living as your soul. Being authentic is just the soul doing as much as possible, and that's why we say we strive for as much authenticity as possible, because the ego is always going to be there. We can't kill it. We're not in that part yet. And I've never met someone that I bought actually did it legitimately. Even the top gurus, like they always had this like, no, it's just in balance and check. And there's a reason they stayed out in the mountains. You know what I mean? Because otherwise regular human society will trigger the ego. However, imagine a society filled with the sonship, and just, and all it is, if it's dogma, it's a dogma of love, and all you're asked to do is love. All you're asked to do is see from the heart of God, of the ultimate heart, and realize you are also God. It is the law of one, but it's just giving you more parameters, because so many things throw it out there. Yeah, we're all one, the law is one, the all is mine, have fun, but the truth is, it's like we are problematic humans that need these like examples, like in the way I teach, like I'm always giving random examples about my life, and it's just because like you need to see that if that resonates whatsoever, now all of a sudden that can make your thing that's slightly similar, or even just somehow brings an epiphany, and you can now make clarity. And that's what this book does. It tells you things you do. It tells us we're petty. It tells us, like in that chapter it mentioned competitive and things like that, and how those are all distortions that just do.
Yeah, those are all distortions that really don't exist. We're creating that. I'm not sure that's what she was going to say, but I thought I should jump in. Um, so, well, I guess we'll hold some space till she gets back.
Oh, I'm back.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where this is the problem with daytime shows. But let's go around the circle again. Hopefully you got the majority of what I said. And Sam, like hearing what we've all just talked about, and now, like, how do you feel like the God that the Course in Miracles is trying to express to you? How it like, just let me know your thoughts on what you're feeling from that. Oh, muted again.
You're on mute again.
Sorry, it's because my dog's been a little sausage, bless her. She's been my own personal miracle. Yeah, so I think I really need to sit, because this is the thing with it, isn't it? It's just, sorry. It's just, there's so much to it. Like, so the big thing for me was the illusion, and that's kind of what I'm sitting with. So it's knowing that this is an illusion, but it's still like God's illusion in a way. It's still a way for us to experience separation. And I was really loving what you were talking about, like the Kabbalion and the Law of One, and how it like pulls it all together. And I know we spoke about this in Steve's show the other day when we were getting into it, and it's just like the practical guide, isn't it, and the manual. But when you actually look at the concept of it just seems like trusting. But it's like trusting yourself. It's trusting your own innate wisdom, because we are good. We are the totality, just condensed in human form within the illusion. And that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes to that part. And I would say, because I cut out at the end there, when it talks of that not being real, and it's stripping away your existence, because that's where it can be triggering. It's like, that's not real, that's illusion, that's silly, and it'll just kind of strip away all of you and call it all dumb and not real. Because that's why the first time I went through this book, it did stuff to me, but it was much more painful. Now that I'm coming back, I'm like, oh, I get it, because I've naturally been continuing to improve anyway. So now I'm like, I get it, because the unreal is just not real, because the toppest layer of God is love, right? So that high of the high, and Safor, is love. It's all pure light. And we're not false loving and lighting, because I agree, we are very much a flesh human now. And the book talks about just simply being flesh is a distortion. So as long as you're still flesh, you still have distortions. You know what I mean? And that's built into us. That's part of the program. We can argue that God wanted this as the journey. However, right now, and that's why if that's not your thing, if you want to stay flesh, go ahead. For all those that don't want that as the journey, that's going to play out in your own way. A lot of us starseed people are getting waves that we must change or suffer dearly. And it's not like, oh, God's coming, but it is quite literally the rapture. We're quite literally seeing people drop like flies. And that's just the way it is. And if you don't get up and go, you're going to suffer, because and this book will help you, and it's going to make you suffer a little, but it's better to do it with like this loving friend of the book. And hopefully us here, we've made a Telegram community. I will post that in the description because I didn't do it before. And we'll just keep growing and try to create ourselves an active formulated sonship as we continue to rotate this world and just make it, better. Just make it ascended, right? Like that's the goal, and every way we can do that. And this book, like top tier. So Kirsten, what do you think is the God? Like, how do you feel about the God they're trying to present to you in this book? You're mic'd too. Kirsten, you're mic'd. Sorry. It doesn't let it shows me that, but I can't do anything with it, I guess.
I'm sorry. I know, no, and it's my dogs too. They were they were making a bunch of noise. Um, I really love the God that is being presented here. I did, like Sam, have a little bit of, when you said don't question, I got the same like and I can see that. But I can also see that when you are resting within the totality of God, that you don't need to question, because it's all right there. But I really love it. And I love the God of love. And I loved what it's saying about all of us becoming peers and being equals, because I really feel like one of the ills in this world is this hierarchy of, these people up here who get to tell everybody else how to live. And this is actually the opposite of that. Even though it says don't question, it's actually the opposite of that, because it's saying we're all equal. And I'm sorry, my dog's it's saying we're all equal, and it's the night for dogs, or the day for dogs. We're all equal, and really recognizing that and finding a kinship and a brother and sisterhood with each other. I think that's where we're all going. And I think in the Starseed community, that's something we've been really wanting to have with each other for a long time. And we've been working towards that. And of course, as you said, it's bringing up suffering, and it does. When you really start to reconnect with everyone, what you start realizing all these layers of shit that you have that keep you from really being in brother and sisterhood with each other, because, oh, I've got all this weird insecurity about all this stuff. And now I have to sit with that, because that is actually muddying the waters and making it really difficult for me to make connection with people I really want to connect to. So, which is beautiful, which I've been walking through, I think we've all been walking through that, but I've been walking through that more and more intensely as the year has gone on. So here we are.
Yes, no, agreed, exactly. And it's all about learning, and I get it, because this is my second time through. My first time through, I was like, no, what the fuck, like, and I was all the things, but I just had this thing I couldn't ignore that kept me to it. I was way actually more intense back then, lol, and I just had this thing that like wouldn't let me drop it. Like I was all in. That's when I was like fully just committed. I'm committed now, but like I was obsessed. I guess I'm still obsessed, but now I don't know. I guess I'm the same. But let's go on to Kyla and find out what she thinks of the God being, which is the all of the all in my mind, though. But I want to know, what are you feeling as the God that you're seeing come through this book? Because a lot of people think it's just, oh, that's just the Jesus in the Bible. No, not at all. It's probably the energy that was meant to be, but uncorrupted and untainted and brought to us again, new, fresh, and it might be old, but it's at least the 70s versus questionably 2000 years ago. But Kyla, what are your thoughts on this moment? And just you are mic'd.
So that is a big question for me. How I've approached things, I've just because I read the Kabbalion, and because like I've heard I've heard you talk about this course many times, and it's come up so many times. I really just kind of dove right in, and I never like there have been some things like the not questioning things and stuff that has come up, but as far as the experience and like who is speaking to us, I get chills like I get body chills, especially like in my back, where because I'm listening to the audiobook at work. So while I'm sitting at my sewing machine, I'm listening, and I love it, but at the same time it's driving me crazy because I want to grab my notebook, and it's like, no, we got to focus, we got to sew the suits, and then we'll deal with it. So where like definitely using discernment, but just the way my body is reacting to it, it's I trust my body, and I feel like there's something definitely to it. And like and to each their own. And there are some things that like it's not like I'm going to hang on every word. I'm gonna take it apart and apply, like, and that's how I roll. Like I pull everything in. So this is just another a piece of the puzzle for me. But I feel like I feel it's real, and it's coming from a good place. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And you prompted something there. When you were talking about how it's so it mentions language, it mentions translation. So you know how like we all have a friend, and like if somebody that didn't know that friend was to heard how that friend talked, they'd be like, oh, I don't like that guy. But you're like, no, you just have to know them. That's just how they talk, and they're really cool. They just like have a unique speech pattern. That's this book. This book is that unique friend. It does. And that's why I'm like, oh, no, I know this guy. Like, no, because like I get it says things in this grandiose place, but when you read the entire book, it's clear it's not dogmatically boxing you into anything. It's clear it's just setting you free. In fact, it says multiple times its main mission is freedom. So why would something that's main mission is freedom give you dogma, right? That would be contradictory in itself. So it says this isn't dogma. It says that repeatedly, but I will agree, it is that friend that says stuff sometimes you're like, oh, but then you keep listening to it talk, and it's like, okay, I get what you're meaning in that way you're saying it, because it will say things. And then channelers talk of this. Barbara Marciniak was big on expressing that it's they will talk to you, and I had this in my own experience. It's so visceral. But the way your guides talk to you, they'll change their language all the time. Like I'll be like, oh, I was talking about curtains, and oh, I was this, and I was that, and like we all these random ways that the spirit will speak specifically to us. Because honestly, you could take the totality of this book and write it on one page, probably like one page on a computer, done. But the truth is it's going through and it's saying it 20,000 different ways. It's saying it backwards and forwards, all in this kind of unique sort of overarching language, but it's trying to get you from every single angle, which is exactly what I love, Kyla, because I'm the same as you. That's what my teachings usually were for the last many years now. Like just everything I can find, amalgamating what freaking works, because I was a complete train wreck, and I'm now a normal success, like functioning successful person. Now I'm going to go like be, bigger things, but we'll see, like whatever that is in life. And it doesn't have to be professionally, because I don't care about professional, whatever it is, to just lead that bigger life. And this book is that key. This book is that trick that no matter where you are in life, it will take you a notch bigger probably every single time you read it. So we're going to dive in to a clip on the book, which will just be more source material from the book with some entertaining visuals. And then we'll come back in and dive in and talk about it as well, because there's no end to this. But before the lesson ends, we will have a meditation on the lesson, and we will bring you through day one. So this will end with a meditation that will completely, well, hopefully, if you allow it, solidify in everything we've discussed today.
And we're looking forward to that meditation. I think it's going to be really good. You're muted, Sam.
He is very nice. It's the dog. She's singing.
I am back. Okay. I don't know where I cut off, but long story short, I'm putting on a clip. So here we go, and we'll be back soon. This is direct from A Course in Miracles, just with visuals.
Okay.
What fear has hidden is still a part of you. The atonement is the way out of fear.
Oh.
Apparently we have no sound on the video. Did you girls hear sound on the video?
No sound.
Okay, oops, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. All right, let me, you guys talk about stuff, and I'm gonna find my YouTube clip on
Okay.
it and see if that works.
All right, no problem.
Okay.
I just wanted to touch on it was on about the, oh God, what's it called again? Atonement at one month. I had a bit of a light bulb moment the other day about that, which is great. And that's basically what is that seems to be the theme of the book, that you're realizing that there is actually no separation. And it talks about this duality that we're in. And it's essentially just kind of saying, because when you look at it from that kind of perspective, that the dualistic nature of reality that we find ourselves in is just good experiencing good. And that's kind of what it's saying. That's why it's an illusion, because separation ultimately is an illusion, because good is all. So that's what I really like about the atonement bit, the at one bit.
Absolutely. I agree. What do you think, Kirsten?
I agree too. That was one of my favorite things. And I actually heard that before the book. Before I ever even cracked the book, I had seen that. I was like, that's so perfect. And it really is. And ultimately it's recognizing that that separation is an illusion, that we are indeed all one. And I really love the way you're tying it into the Law of One, because that's been a really major book in my life. But this is much more clear and concise and puts it all together. You know, the Law of One is kind of very dense and you have to wade through it and kind of pick it out. And it's beautiful because I always find something new when I look in it. But I'm sure this is the same way, and it's much more simply put so that you can get your mind around it. And like you said, when it comes from all angles like that, if you didn't see it from one angle, you can maybe see it from the other angle. And that is just really beautiful and powerful.
Absolutely.
Because all the angles
Absolutely.
are one.
Agreed. Agreed. Absolute. Completely. You're both spot on. Kyla, what do you think?
Is she back on the stage? Is she gone?
I'm not looking at the stage. I can't.
Where
I
is
still.
she?
Oh, she's off the stage. Sorry, Kyla. I can't find. I don't know how to find your own YouTube video on YouTube. I don't know how to find your own YouTube video on the computer. I can do it on my phone, but I don't know how to find it on my computer. So, oops. I don't use my computer.
Oops.
Well, Kyla, what do you think? And I'll keep looking.
Well, I'm sorry, I missed the question because I've been having technical difficulties here too.
Yeah, what is going on? I had a feeling.
Can we just do a little clearing, actually?
Yeah, go
Because
for
I
it,
think
Sam.
Yeah,
that
I
is
think that's a
needed.
good idea.
I've been trying to do it as we've gone along because there's something here. That feels a bit better.
Mhm. Diana, you're
Good
on
night,
mute now.
Diana.
Diana.
What fear is hidden is still a part of you. The atonement is the way.
There was sound initially.
Yours because it is part of you, just as you are part of
Do we have
God.
sound?
Nothing that is good can be
There it
lost
is.
because it comes from the Holy
Is there
Spirit,
sound?
the voice for creation.
Yes.
Nothing that is
yes.
not good was ever.
Okay.
What fear has hidden is still a part of you. The atonement is the way out of fear. Holy Spirit will help you reinterpret everything that you perceive as fearful and teach you that only what is loving is true. Truth is beyond your ability to destroy, but entirely within your ability to accept. It belongs to you because, as an extension of God, you created it with Him. It is yours because it is part of you, just as you are part of God. Nothing that is good can be lost because it comes from the Holy Spirit, the voice for creation. Nothing that is not good was ever created, and therefore cannot be protected. Atonement is the guarantee of the safety of the kingdom, and the union of the sonship is its protection. Ego cannot prevail against the kingdom because a collective is united. Here the Holy Spirit's call to be is one, the ego fades away and is undone. What the ego makes it keeps to itself, and so it is without strength. Its existence is unshared. It does not die, it was merely never born. Physical birth is not a beginning, it is a continuing. Everything that continues has already been born. Heaven will increase as you are willing to return the unhealed part of your mind to the higher part, returning it undivided to creation. I have come to give you the foundation, so your own thoughts can make you really free. You have carried the burden of ideas that are too weak to increase, but having made them you did not realize how to undo them. You cannot cancel out your past errors alone. They will not disappear from your mind without the atonement, a remedy not of your making. Atonement must be understood as a pure act of sharing. That is what I meant when I said it is possible even in this world to listen to one voice. If you are part of God and the sonship is one, you cannot be limited to the ego self. Every loving thought held in any part of the sonship belongs to every part. It is shared because it is loving. Sharing is God's way of creating, and also yours. Ego can keep you in exile from the kingdom, but in the kingdom itself it has no power. Ideas of the Spirit do not leave the mind that thinks them, nor can they conflict with each other. However, ideas of the ego can conflict because they occur at different levels and also include opposite thoughts at the same level. It is impossible to share opposing thoughts. You can share only the thoughts that are of God and that He keeps for you, of such is the kingdom of heaven. The rest remains with you until the Holy Spirit has reinterpreted them in the light of the kingdom, making them worthy of being shared. When thoughts have been sufficiently purified, He lets you give them away. The decision to share them is their purification. I heard one voice because I understood that I could not atone for myself alone. One voice implies the decision to share it in order to hear it yourself. The mind that was in me is still irresistibly drawn to every mind created by God, because God's wholeness is the wholeness of His Son. You cannot be hurt, and do not want to show your brother anything except your wholeness. Show him that he cannot hurt you and hold nothing against him, or you hold it against yourself. This is the meaning of turning the other cheek. Teaching is done in many ways, above all by example. Squared teaching should be healing, because it is the sharing of ideas and the recognition that to share ideas is to strengthen them. I cannot forget my need to teach what I have learned, which arose in me because I learned it. I call upon you to teach what you have learned, because by so doing you can depend on it. Make it dependable in my name, because my name is the name of God's Son. What I learned I give you freely, and the mind that was in me rejoices as you choose to hear it. The Holy Spirit atones in all of us by undoing, and thus lifts the burden you have placed in your mind. By following Him you are led back to God where you belong, and how can you find the way except by taking your brothers and sisters with you? My part in the atonement is not complete until you join it and give it away. As you teach, so shall you learn. I will never leave you or forsake you, because to forsake you would be to forsake myself and God who created me. You forsake yourself and God if you forsake any of your brothers or sisters. You must learn to see them as they are, and understand they belong to God as you do. How could you treat your brother or sister better than by rendering unto God the things that are God's? The atonement gives you the power of a healed mind, but the power to create is of God. Therefore, those who have been forgiven must devote themselves first to healing, because, having received the idea of healing, they must give it to hold it. The full power of creation cannot be expressed as long as any of God's ideas is withheld from the kingdom. The joint will of the sonship is the only creator that can create like the Father, because only the complete can think completely, and the thinking of God lacks nothing. Everything you think that is not through the Holy Spirit is lacking. How can you who are so holy suffer? All your past except its beauty is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. I have saved all your kindnesses and every loving thought you ever had. I have purified them of the errors that hid their light, and kept them for you in their own perfect radiance. They are beyond destruction and beyond guilt. They came from the Holy Spirit within you, and we know what God creates is eternal. You can indeed depart in peace, because I have loved you as I loved myself. You go with my blessing and for my blessing. Hold it and share it, that it may always be ours. I place the peace of God in your heart and in your hands, to hold and share. The heart is pure to hold it, and the hands are strong to give it. We cannot lose. My judgment is as strong as the wisdom of God, in whose heart and hands we have our being. His quiet children are His blessed sons. The thoughts of God are with you. The thoughts of God are with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so did that play all the way through, hopefully?
Yes, it did.
Goody goody gumdrops. Okay. Yeah, so that's the atonement, because the atonement was one of the most important messages to me. It's one of those things, like you get phrases like atonement, sonship, and then forgiveness too, but the atonement was extra special because it's that forgiveness of self. Like I used to think I need to find a priest and confess all my sins are free. But the book teaches you that you can find that atonement in the course, but in yourself. But it just teaches you how in the course. What do you think, Kyla?
Oh, and again, that's a big one. And that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask about the atonement. And that just explained everything perfectly. And like for me, and I hope this answers the question. This whole like the video just sparked a whole lot. I have my notebook here, so
Yes.
so as far as the atonement, like I had an aha moment watching that video. I've always had this sense that I've never been alone. I've been protected. Even when I was in the midst of my biggest dumpster fire, I still felt that there was something, and I never felt abandoned. And so this video like it just explained why I didn't. And it was also confirmation for me as well. I've been trying to live my life going in this direction anyway. My mom, she didn't I wasn't raised in a religion. We believed, but there really wasn't any structure. But she always talked about the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And that came up in this video with the atonement, and then it ties in with sharing. And I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, so I will pass it on because I'm getting really excited and all the words are coming. And
The book definitely does that. Kristen, what do you think of, especially of atonement and what that means for the soul and release? Because you know about density and releasing that to rise higher.
Yes. Well, one of the things that came to me while I was thinking about that was the idea of forgiveness. And I know you guys on the other night on Stephen's podcast were talking about forgiveness being for yourself. And ultimately, I found as I've been going on my own path that the hardest person to forgive is not even the people who did me the most wrongs, but it's myself for so many things. And I think one of the key aspects of atonement, and when you talk about making atonement within yourself, is forgiving yourself. You don't need God to forgive you because God loves you. God is love. God loves you no matter what. What you need is to forgive yourself, because I do think that we do create our own karma for that too. So it's bringing that back and really bringing that forgiveness to yourself and bringing that grace through you and into your heart, because that really is where atonement starts, I think. And once you bring that grace, then you stop feeling all that separation. Once you forgive yourself and you're able to forgive everyone because once you forgive yourself, it's much easier to forgive everyone else for whatever they've done. And once you forgive people, that's when the barriers start to break down and you start to really feel that connection to the all and to everyone. And I think so ultimately, I think, atonement goes hand in hand with that forgiveness such that we talk about.
Yeah, because it's like it's the atonement is the forgiveness of you, and where like the forgiveness aspect is their atonement, but from you, sort of thing. Samantha, what do you think? Oh, mic'd again. We're having a day of mics.
Unmute.
Sorry.
We've all been doing it.
about forgiveness, is that what we're speaking about? I was sorry, my
It
dog's
was
been
the
really,
atonement.
really...
The video is on the atonement, which as a Catholic, so you could bring us that Catholic experience, because that's why they set up the preacher or pastor. Or sorry, you guys are priests. The priest, the father, as it was, because that they metaphysically knew that sprinkle of atonement mattered, and that's the one thing I was jealous of the Catholics. I looked into being Catholic because I really wanted that atonement, and then I went and found it in the book, and it was that same thing I was craving and looking for. So you would know it as like what the
Confession.
father does.
Yeah. Yes. This is the thing that I'm really struggling with a little bit, I think, because I get the principles, and I get the principles within religion, and I get the principles in the Course in Miracles. So it's trying to, and it's a good way for anybody else going through this. You need to separate, if you've got an issue with the dogma of Catholicism or whatever religion, if you've got an issue with that, you need to separate that, because it's talking about something completely different, isn't it? There are themes, but it's not saying you need to dogmatically follow it. And that's the thing that's I'm having to keep in the front of my mind, because when you hear things like atonement, and we talk about the confession, saying like Catholic Church, you would go to the priest who is acting as a higher power, which is the thing that bothers me about Catholics, Catholicism or whatever, Christianity, and the church. It's like you need somebody as an intermediary. However, if we are all good and we are all connected to God and we are all one, if you are going to speak to somebody, I think this is what it means. People are our mirrors. It's witnessing another person, isn't it? So rather than going to a priest and saying, I'm going to give you my power, I'm going to give my power away to you because I can only access God through you, that isn't correct. So what this is actually saying is, well, our brothers and sisters and looking people as peers, there is nobody higher or brothers, we're all good. God, it's all one level. There is nobody that is better than you. There is nobody that is worse than you. And if you were to offer that love, that extension of God to another human being, what you're actually doing is witnessing. And I often talk about the power of witnessing. And what that is doing is giving somebody the pure and direct emanation of your God self, because you're completely with them. You're not being, pulled into the illusion. You're not using your own judgments. You're not putting your own fear on it. You're not projecting your own internal distortions within this demiurgic kind of, if we're talking about narcissism, reality that we're experiencing. We're in a pure God state. And when you're in that state, that's where healing occurs. Because, we spoke about that the other day, didn't we? So what it's actually saying is it's witnessing without the judgment, without the mind stories, without all the internal distortion. And that's when you get to that pure aligned state, because I think that's what it's trying to tell us that we need to do. It's becoming purely aligned with what God actually is, which is love. So anything that you can do, which is love, which is witnessing, which is being open, which is being vulnerable, which is being connected to other human beings, because it's that heart-to-heart connection, isn't it, as well? That is what God is. It's the pure love.
I was cut out there, so I missed the end of your thing, but that was super in. That was amazing. I felt literally felt that, and that's why I feel like Sam, you're perfect to and Don was saying he's channeling it as well. And then Kirsten's already got the backbones of all the knowledge herself. And I like that, you're all getting a unique view. We have, Kyla's coming in so fresh and eager to learn and at that space. And then we have Kirsten, who's been doing this for decades and is rock solid. And then you have Samantha, who was born as a magical wizard, who just instantly, literally born with all this. The stuff she says, and then you're the way, when you talk to us, you quote the book. And Don was reporting the same. So that is fascinating. And I just know when I read it, that gnosis knowing, there was no part where there's only one part I can think that's janky. And I feel like that did come through the time where it talks about a child and it's talking about being Christ-like, but it's the child that bumps into the man, if the man is of Christ, or in the spaces, I'm paraphrasing, but they will not strike the child or something like that. And I'm you shouldn't be striking that child anyway. But it's the 70s. So I guess that one slipped in there. So you can see the dating in it even then, right? And just for bumping into a man, I know some people make some, whatever you want to talk about spanking, but just simply bumping into a stranger and that man was to strike your child. Oh God, the times have changed. But that was just the only thing I actually ever found where I was okay, I saw a bit of the channel come through there with just the dating of the time. But otherwise, that book is just filled with gnosis. So let us now jump into today's lesson. So day one, here we go. The lesson, finally in, almost an hour, kept you here now. Because it's important to have that backbone. Otherwise, the lessons just kind of don't resonate as deep as they truly could, because I want you to see and feel the magic that's coming. Because this just gets more. It might be confusing in the beginning, but once you get it, you just continue to get it deeper and deeper and deeper. So here we go. Lesson 1. Nothing I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place means anything. Now look slowly around you and practice applying this idea very specifically to whatever you see. This table does not mean anything. This chair does not mean anything. This hand does not mean anything. This foot does not mean anything. This pen does not mean anything. Then look further away from your immediate area and apply the idea to a wider range. The door does not mean anything. The body does not mean anything. The lamp does not mean anything. That sign does not mean anything. That shadow does not mean anything. Notice that these statements are not arranged in any order and make no allowance for differences in the kinds of things to which they are applied. That is the purpose of the exercise. The statement should merely be applied to anything you see. As you practice the idea for the day, use it totally indiscriminately. Do not attempt to apply it to everything you see, for these exercises should not become ritualistic. Only be sure that nothing you see is specifically excluded. One thing is like another as far as the application of the idea is concerned. Each of the first 3 lessons should not be done more than twice a day each, preferably morning and evening, nor should they be attempted for more than a minute or so unless that entails a sense of hurry. A comfortable sense of leisure is essential. So if you want to simply just pause the video right now, if you're not watching this live, if you're one of the people watching it later, pause it, do it right now. I'll hold up the section, pause me right now and do this right now. Go through it, go through it. It does something, it starts to open it up. The first 30 days do look silly or even like nihilistic even, but they are going to be taking away the old programs so that you can build in new. Now for this, I want to jump right to Kyla, because what is your like raw opinion of how this lesson feels with you, sits with you? What questions would you ask? If you could ask the book to answer you, what would you ask? And remember, you're mic'd.
Of course, I have the curiosity of like where is this going? But I can, with what I know, and I want to mention that I have listened to the Kabbalion, and I've also listened to some of the Lost Gospels, which I think have helped as well. So when I started this exercise, it actually made sense to me. I also think a lot of it too is what you've been saying, Diana. And so I've found it, because I am where I am, and you know, like I've been doing the work and all that. I could see the logic behind it, and I could see that it was building towards it. But I can see where it's going, because it's it is stripping things down, and it's something, and it just kind of hit me right now. This is showing me how much I've grown myself, because at one time, like not so long ago, this would have been a very hard exercise for me to do. And I was actually talking to Dawn last night, because I was raised, and it was I think to be materialistic, not in a showboating, bragging type of way, but a sentimental way, to hang on to the stuff. And so at one time, this would have been very difficult for me to do, because how can I say that this figurine that my mother gave me doesn't mean anything? I hope that makes sense. And you know, like if you're just starting this and you're just scratching your head and like, what? It is going somewhere. I can see where it's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Perfectly put. That's okay. So the first time I did this, when I did day 1, I just continuously talked about perceptions. I didn't go and read anything else from the book. I just continuously read about perceptions and how it's going to rip them to shreds. So I can leave those originals just in the general playlist for the Course in Miracles, where the dailies will be switched out for these ones. So in case you want to go find more on perceptions, I can even maybe link it. I'm not one for that, but maybe I will. And then you can get more on my opinions on perceptions for this element, because I spent a whole episode on it already. But you are correct. It's stripping away your perceptions, because that's everything. When the all is mind, your perceptions are so vital and key, and like the totality of everything. But I feel what you mean. And if you think this is hard, wait till you get to special relationships. Special relationships is amazing. That's all of us. That's knowing that we shouldn't be more attached to each other than anybody else. Your husbands, your children, everybody should be equal. Mom, dad, everybody's equal. Nobody should be a special relationship, because the second you add in special relationship, you now start to create those patterns. Like we talk about having like borderline personality kind of things where you're like, but that's just emotional entanglement, empath, and like just, getting social dynamics. We're like, you hurt my feelings. You didn't, you didn't, like, and just tie the complicated knots that humans will weave all come from special relationships. So stripping away the special relationship status and just that, but that doesn't mean no love. That means you're supposed to be in love with everybody. You are in love with everybody. So I'm in love with you. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to go about your day, man, woman, adult, child. Like it's supposed to be that God-given, I'm in love with you state. And that's an actual place. Like you feel that as a realm. And anybody that like when they fall in love for the first time, they know that feeling. Well, I can tell you from the book that feeling comes 24 hours a day if you stay in the balance, which honestly, like I do now. Like if you're wondering if there's a day where you don't fall back anymore, it comes. You still might pop off sometimes. I'm very fire. So sometimes I'm like, wow. And I'll be like, I mean, hello, what's going on? Like, so these things do happen, but instead of going like, wow, and then now I'm smashing and throwing things and doing all kinds of crazy things and telling people to F off and never speak to them again, which has happened many times. Instead, you just, and you learn, and all of a sudden that course, that strip of perception, the lessons that you go through every day, it just automatically plays out. And it's like your behavior is getting like, I used to try so hard to fix my behavior and that did nothing, but they're not wrong when they talk of surrender. Simply doing these lessons automatically will do that for you. For me, it was rage. For you, it might be like depression or wallowing, or some people are just apathetic. Like everybody's got their own issues of like blaming and shaming. If you're doing any kind of blaming and shaming, if you're stuck in guilt, like there's very key emotions you can look for that will make sure you can see you're not in that all love state that you definitely want to be in. So let's take it to Sam. What do you think of the first day's lesson?
Yeah, I mean, the real profound thing that I've been sat and considering with that is love means nothing and hate means nothing. Because when you've got to apply it equally to everything, haven't you? And that isn't saying that we don't need to love and that we're not going to experience hate. I think what essentially saying is that everything is illusionary. And so because it doesn't mean anything, it's just an experience. And it's essentially saying we're in the now moment. So applying any additional emotional charge to any experience, even love, even hate, it isn't saying we need to be apathetic. It's saying we need to be the witness of the illusion to be in truth. And that's kind of what I came to with that.
Beautiful. Yeah. What do you think, Kirsten?
I think what Sam said is absolutely beautiful. I was just noticing as I was listening to that, I started looking around my room and how much just that little thing poked my ego, because all of a sudden I'm like, oh, but I painted this picture and it means something. It means that my student gave me this picture and that means something, because and then I was looking over because I have my altar over here and I've got Jesus and Yogananda and Shiva and I'm like, oh, they don't mean anything, but I've been meditating with these images for so long and they've become such a part of me. And then I thought, well, do I mean anything? And then, going into that and saying, oh my gosh, and on a higher level, I could see it. It seemed perfectly logical and right, but my ego's just going, ah! So it's amazing to me, in lesson one already is poking the ego. And, I've learned to sit with that when that happens. So it didn't, freak me out or anything, but I was just like, wow, already I'm getting my ego poked here. And we've only just begun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Similar to
what
what Kyla
shows
was.
you how powerful.
Yeah. How powerful we are. Exactly.
Yeah.
And how powerful,
Yeah.
what we put into stuff is like magical objects and things like that. That's all real. But it's simply because somebody intentioned it so hard. Like the Horcruxes of Harry Potter, real. That's real. That, I mean, I don't know if you die and you could bring yourself back with a Horcrux. Maybe that's how Jesus did it. I don't know. But like, it can hold pieces of your soul and pieces of you there. That I know for sure. That's why I've always wanted to buy a haunted house. I did buy a very old house, but I'm like, I just felt like I could love the ghosts, and I could have an old cheap Victorian mansion and just make peace with the poltergeists. Because I feel like we can do that. And then the book also will talk later about being able to, it's not about mind control. It's about, and there's a psychiatrist that did this. He sat down, he took over, he became the head psychiatrist in the whole place, took everybody's charts, and over a couple months, he didn't even see the patients. He went through their charts and saw them and loved them through everything he read in their charts, with some of them, which was horrific. He healed every single one of them. Like every single one of them. And this is a known thing that you can look up and find. And that just shows like what we have the power when we see people truly, when we love people truly, and at the depths of their core of their self. It doesn't matter what their ego is trying to show off to you, the stuff, right? That's not their deepest core truth. Even though you made it, the act that you made it, or it's from your mother, the act that it's from that is beautiful, that it represents that for you now. And you actually do, because I was very attacked, especially when my children, what do you mean? But you can actually get to, I can't say I'm not fully there in the special relationships, obviously. I don't know if I ever will be, because it even talks about how you can be a teacher and don't expect perfection. Like nobody's perfect, and if you're still here. So if we're still here in the flesh, we're not perfect. So don't shame or blame that, oh my God, I have so many special relationships. Oh my God, you want me to, like Buddhism. It's straight up Buddhism, the detachment. And that has its place as well. Like that detachment, it's because it's freeing up your energy. These people that you're intertwined with, they better be worth it, put it that way, because they are draining you regardless. If you were to have no special relationships, though, it wouldn't be draining. It'd be perfect. There would never be draining. We would be perfectly balanced all the time. That's the place we're heading, though. We're getting there. I'm not ready to, like, obviously. I don't know if I ever will be for that one. I've definitely low-keyed on like relationships in general. What it's done is it's helped me relax relationships. It's helped me take a step back. It's helped me see things more neutrally. So it is having that disconnecting factor. But if it's asking me to not love some more than others, I guess I could say I do soul-wise. I could say that I do soul-wise. I can't tell you how that would feel to be that detached from someone that close, though. Like that, I don't know what that's supposed to feel like. But we're getting there and we're growing, because I wouldn't have known how to have a relationship with someone that wasn't special, with being able to know someone, be nice and love them and great and talk to them without being awkward, yet not create a special relationship, except I have managed to do that. So under this concept of special relationship and how we brought it into objects, but I think we are far enough along to know that we can unimportant objects. But when it comes to people and things we know, like, how do you think you could experience that and get, like, what advice would you give someone if you were to tell them, how should I not find a special relationship so special? And we know Buddhist concepts. So even if you're not as familiar of the book, you know the Buddhist concept of detachment, and it's the same thing. It just explains it that way, that special way the book does. But Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think what my own interpretation of that, like a good first step would be, find the person that you love the absolute most, and then love everybody the same as that. And then you're not differentiating, are you just bringing more love in? So that's a good way around it to start with. But I think at the core of it, what it's saying is and it really goes back again to that now moment, being in the now, because that's where we create from. When you are in the now, there is no attachment. There's nothing that's outside of us, really, is there? And that's what you're kind of getting to the point of seeing. And it isn't like, oh, nothing's got meaning and it's all like nihilism and we may as well all die, because that isn't what it's saying either. What it's saying is you are freeing yourself, like you were saying, from those energetic attachments, because it isn't, when you start to examine what love actually is, and I'm going a bit of a soju in there, we love people like it's for us, it's not for them. And that's what you've got to get to. You've got to get to a place where I am loving everybody because they are good. I am good. They are good. We are all good. So nobody's bigger or higher than the other. And it isn't saying, oh, I can't love my children, but it's like, ask yourself, why do you love your child? What projections are you putting on that child? Are you expecting that child to fill you up with something? Are you expecting that child to give you something back? Because that's not real. I'm not saying it's not real love, because you do love them, but there's levels of love, and that's what it's kind of asking you to get to, isn't it? It's asking you to say, what is love? God is love. God just gives freely. We should just love freely. And that's, I think, working through that process and figuring out what love is to you and how to give more of it is going to be the next steps, really, after this, going on in the book, I would imagine. That's my own interpretation anyway.
Oh, yes, there'll be lots on the subject. And absolutely. And I like what you said there about loving your kids best. And then, especially with kids, right? But you do need to ask them to do stuff. And I'm a parent that learned that the hard way. You do need to give them like things to do, chores, because it gives them purpose. Otherwise, they can end up like nihilistic themselves. I was ending up with like baby nihilists. Not really, but I saw the makings. And I'm like, oh God, you guys do need chores and structure. But it's not about like, I won't love you if you don't do this for me. It's like, this is a boundary and a structure. This is like a making for your own good. And that can go into like anybody and everybody in your life. Like you can love unconditionally. Like, so I'm basically just agreeing with Sam so much, so deeply, because it's so true. And I had to learn that myself as like, especially as a people pleaser, because I could naturally love people. That's easy. Liking them is easy. Getting along with them is different, because just, like I've been born that way. I didn't wake up and realize people were weird. I was born going like, whoa, you know, like not cool. And I've never, you know, until now, and finding all you guys, it's finally like, wow, 37 years. No, I guess I started meeting you guys at 36, but still, it was a while before I'm finally like, oh my God, these people can see what I see. I'm not crazy. It's not to say I haven't had really close friends in the past, and even some that kind of got it, but you guys are there and you guys see everything I see, and then you see other things and we see different things. And it's like, even if we're not agreeing, it's still this sonship. You can imagine how the sonship would work, because it's simply about like being able to disagree and not being triggered. It's keeping the ego out of it. Like the sonship is a soul-led relationship without the ego, and removing special relationships allows you to step into that sonship more fully, because you can open yourself to just be that loving person. And we know the Christian religion kind of tried to do that, but then they introduced too much dogma and all this stuff and rules about it and all these things. There's no rules. Just remember, for your own sake, no guilt, no shame, no blame. No guilt, no shame, no blame, right? And just keep those off the table for you, for other people, all of it, and things will start to be less special and start to just relax. Like once things really, and you can't just tell someone to relax, but doing certain things will naturally create like a relaxing effect, and things will just get a lot more easier with everybody, you know, because you could start to see them as a child. That really helps me. If somebody's really upsetting you, or like they're some kind of person or something like that, no matter where they are, who they are, start to see their child, and even just like, what happened to you? Like, why? And then like, love that child. Just love that child and just try to speak to that child, even if like you're speaking to a child. So sometimes you still have to like set those boundaries, but you can still do it with love. So let's jump to Kirsten. What do you think on these thoughts?
Well, it's quite interesting, because this is something I've really been wrestling with, this special relationship thing. And I'm not sure. And like you said, I don't know that I'll ever get to a place where I don't have some people in my life that I say these people are more special than say these other people. But at the same time, so you know, that's really a big thing I've been really going through, and looking at my own attachment to my special relationships. And because I'm, you know, very fiery as you are, and I get really like, wah! and I'm very I'm somewhat dramatic in my relationships, especially if I really love someone, I'm really attached to them. I tend to get really like whacked sometimes because of that. And I'm really trying to learn to balance that, so that I don't throw the other person off balance or take it out on them, because I know it's a problem I have. But as far as that goes, I have found that with my students, with my yoga students, when I used to teach speech at the college, I always go into my class and I love everyone there equally. And I really do love them. But when I teach, I'm channeling. So that love just comes right through my heart. And I think that may be the key here too, is opening up the heart space, opening that heart chakra, and allowing that to actually flow through. Because when I walk into that yoga studio, I immediately take on a different sort of persona. I'm still me, but that love is coming through me. And so when I walk in and I look at all of my students, I just feel this overflowing love for all of them. And for that hour that I'm in there, those people are my special relationship, and each of them equally. And I look at each of them and I think about what each of them needs. And but it's not fully, like, it's not the small Kirsten ego that's teaching that class. It's the opening of the heart and letting it come through. And so as I'm considering this, I think that's really the key there, is opening that heart chakra and letting that divine love just come right through you, because then you don't have to even make an effort to love anyone, because you automatically feel it when, you know, if you look at any person. And I would say to you, inside
So annoying, isn't it, when she was in a flow? She's
Oh, that was
just cut
her.
off.
I just played thinking it was me.
No.
Sorry, I did it to David once. I sat there for like
no,
minutes. I'm like rocking in my
no,
chair as he was gone. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Kirsten. It was you that jammed.
yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, so like I was saying, I think it's just because when I'm in that yoga studio and I open my heart and I let it come through, because I always, my first thing is, you know, I ask the guides to come in, I ask Yogananda to come in, I ask everyone to come in and just flow. And that really is the key for me, because it doesn't matter to me when I'm in that studio if anybody's my friend or anybody's my family member or anything. I love everyone in there equally for that time. Now, I won't say that happens when I walk out, because when I walk out, you know, my niece was in the class. She's the person I'm like, this is the person I'm going to stick with, you know. But so I really think the key is to really open that heart chakra and let it flow through, because it's like a channel, then it just comes through.
Beautiful. Yes, and I agree. And that's like the book does that. Like it creates that heart chakra comes alive, and you're in that Christ space just like all the time, because it clears, because you talked about like the small Kirsten, and like that's the Kirsten being controlled by patterns, and the Kirsten being controlled by like the brainwashing of our past and society and all the many things that come at us. And then but when we go to that channeling or that divine space, that tapping in the flow state we've all heard about, you're going past all that. That's why it's the flow. That's why you're in that middle pillar, because you're superseding all those patterns and stuff. But I wouldn't call it small Kirsten and then like channeling, because I would just call the channeled Kirsten God Kirsten and the other one ego Kirsten. Like this, and we all have that. I've got ego Diana and God Diana, and that's just ego Kirsten and God Kirsten, and you're just stepping into that higher space to be your truer higher self. And that's beautiful. And this book will help any. Kirsten's a master at doing it before the book. I can only imagine after. If you get through all the book, I would love your thoughts on that, because it goes so very, very deep. So Kyla, what are your thoughts with this and channeling that God self? I would like to know how you feel about that. Do you feel moments where you feel that God self? Have you tapped into that yet, and have you felt it in the book?
Oh my goodness. So yes, and when I was listening to Kirsten, like first of all, I could feel you. This is awesome, because I used to coach skating, and I want to teach spinning. I have done demonstrations and whatnot, and I don't say this phrase lightly, but I know exactly what you were talking about. You just kind of, because you're following your passion, you're sharing what you love with other people. This ties into what we were just talking about earlier in regards to the whole sharing thing. And when like and Kirsten, when you were saying about how when you're in the class setting and you're sharing and all that, it's completely different than when you're outside of class. and I find for me, when I am outside of class, but when somebody just taps me and asks a question, boom, I'm right back there. And there's actually a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up, Diana, that's all related to this. Like, it all connects. Like, this is
Oh yeah, please do bring us your questions. questions.
So, in regards to the attachment piece of things, I can see how that could be detrimental and even dangerous. I like many of us come from family with many toxic individuals, and the whole "but it's family" thing, how like and the special relationship part of things. You know what, Andy? If you treat me like crap, I'm not going to look the other way because you're family, because that's a special relationship. And that I feel is it, like that's something that society has just pummeled into us, that family has a free pass. They can do whatever they want because they're family. And so the attachment thing, I I don't think I'm gonna have like in the special relationships where I am right now. I've actually had to detach from most of them, and so I it is going to be a challenge. But right now, there like as far as special people, there's only a couple that really outrank everybody else, and everybody else I hold in very high regard. The other thing, um, I wanted to like what was coming together for me, and again with the special relationship thing. Okay, so if everyone was on this like on the same page, and like they treated everybody with love, like they just applied everything, then there would be no need for special relationships or special status. Because and I think maybe part of the whole like special relationship thing is because you feel safe with them and they reciprocate. If everybody applied the principles and shared and just loved, there wouldn't be any need to elevate anybody's status, because you would be safe with everybody. And as we talk about this, I'm thinking about it in regards to anarchy, because like we hear about people talking about the new earth, and like basically like governing ourselves. This is how you do it. This is I feel like this could very well, I mean, I'm still very new, but I'm feeling like this could be the instruction manual on like how to be a like this is like a guidance, like and like just all you have to do is just love everybody and be yourself. Don't judge, and everything will be just fine. Like, and there's no need for competition or anything. But that's the thoughts from the newbie.
Yeah, it's a good one too, and people get that, like, yes, but you don't just understand, or you don't understand, or you don't understand. People love to use that narrative. Yeah, but you don't know what it's like for me. Everybody has it hard. Everybody has it hard. And we're all in North America. There's people in other countries that have had it worse than we could ever imagine. And if you handed them this book, it could do them just as much good. So we can't, or in Sam in Europe. But I imagine United Kingdom is rather similar. I know they're going through problems, but they're still incredibly fancier than other parts of the world. So like if we could hand this book to any human on the world, and if they were to read it and apply it, they would know that they could be healed. Like, I don't think you could honestly, it's such a long book. Like, I feel like you could kind of try to pretend with a small book and be like, yeah, this is dumb, and then get through it and not listen to it. But because this book, well, I've got it right here, because this book is so huge, and the writing is small too. Because this book is so huge, and like, look how much, like, that's a lot, right? They're taking up the space. There's no pictures. And so it's going to be, I read the Bible too. It's not quite as long, but it's getting there. It's like 1,700 pages. It's not nothing, the whole thing in total. So I don't think there's a way, and prove me wrong. Show me someone that read it front to back and stayed the same person and still were saying, yeah, but, oh, you just don't know how it was for me. Trust me, I was that person. I thought I had it so hard done by because I don't know. That's just how we are. That's one of the programs the ego just has. It has this needs to be, and this is the thing, it needs to be the best or it needs to be the worst. And it's going to go, I'm the best at this or I'm the worst at this. So anytime you hear that from someone, you can say it straight up, that's ego, because that's the way it deals. It only deals in duality. But Samantha, we're coming to a winding end. So this might be the last thing you say. No, Samantha, what is your thought?
How ominous. In conclusion to today's lesson, I think the major points, I love what you were saying about no shame, no blame. What was the other one you did? No shame, no blame.
Oh yeah, no shame, blame, or guilt.
That's the one, guilt. I think that's my takeaway, because that is the essence of non-attachment, because you're not it's judgment, isn't it, essentially? So I think what it's saying is suspend your judgment, because if nothing is real, if nothing means anything, then there's no place for judgment. And that's kind of the point I've come to. So it's even looking at special relationships, you're judging a person as better than another, and that's it's just basically giving us parity. And when you break it down, it's just the place that we're coming from, really, which is you meet people where they are, you see that they're a reflection of God, everybody's equal. When people do stuff to piss you off, it's you, not them. And it's that really it's personal responsibility for me. That's what it comes down to. And that's my thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And there was something you said there I'm ADHD forgetting right now that I wanted to say something about. But I'll leave it, I guess, and jump to Kirsten unless I remember. Because, yeah, there was something in there I wanted to touch on. But I absolutely agree with what you're saying. But go ahead, Kirsten.
I agree with what Sam is saying, too. And I just want to say that, there is, because Spencer mentioned toxic people and people that really mistreat you. And there is an element of, okay, I can accept that person. I don't have to judge that person. But at the same time, that person maybe doesn't need to be in my life, because ultimately, the first thing we have to think about is, well, if I truly love myself, and okay, everybody's our mirror, but sometimes what they're mirroring to you is, I don't set good boundaries and I mistreat myself in these ways. And part of accepting that about yourself and saying, okay, well, I need to set better boundaries, I need to treat myself better, might be saying, I love this person, but I'm going to love this person from over here and they're going to stay way over there. And I just say that because I know, having been in really toxic relationships, that there tends to be sometimes when we start going into this sort of spiritual belief and really understanding and knowing people are our mirrors, this thing of, oh, well, I just have to live with this person until they stop mirroring this back to me. And maybe part of that is, I don't have to live with this person because they've shown me where I'm not respecting myself, and they are not really able to step beyond that now. And I see them as they are. And I love them as they are. And I know they're an emanation of God. And I know they showed me these things because I needed to see them. But guess what? I don't need to see that anymore because I get it. And I'm out of here. So I think we have to look, and I'm not saying you should attack people or say that they're bad or say, you're irredeemable because you're a dick or whatever. But we have to say, well, I love myself and you're not very nice to me and I'm not going to accept that anymore. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think starseeds can always use a lesson in boundary, like empath, starseed, whatever your label. If you're one of us, or in the vicinity of the area, you need boundaries. But I remember what you said, Sam, on what I wanted to just touch upon, and the fact, just so everyone's clear, when they say like, nothing is real and matters that's of this world. That's why it's going to naturally magnetize you. I think Sam meant that, but just to make that clear, it's going to naturally magnetize you. When you get rid of the unreal, well, what's left? The real, the soul, the love, the soul's, the sonship. And it'll just ever increase and grow, and you just feel better. Like you just feel like that more. And that's what we want, because empaths especially know what it's like to feel like shit. And sometimes some of them don't even have trauma. Like, I've heard some people's stories and I'm like, how dare I ever have complained about my life? But that's just the empath. And like, a lot of us were born sick. A lot of us were born just with the jank of this freaking world. And the empathness and the stored traumas that you've had, even if you weren't ever abused or anything technically, because when you are that sensitive, you are going to take things other people wouldn't take as a trauma. So still treat yourself with that loving care and know that this book is here to support you. So we're going to jump into our meditation. It's about 5 minutes long. And then we will come in for a close. I was debating. Ladies, what do you think? Should we come back and talk after, or just end it at the meditation?
I think ending it after the meditation, because you can just let people go then, can't you?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. And if they want to go ahead.
Before we, I just wanted to add a little bit to what Kirsten had said about the judgment thing and the boundaries. I think when you see that somebody's done something to you, it's recognizing that they're coming from their place of wounding, and the power that we've got is in how we respond. And that's that. So it's not like, and I love what you were saying, and thank you for elaborating on that, Diana, because I'm not saying that nothing means anything.
Yeah,
it's in the context of the lesson, because we're breaking down the meaning of everything, aren't we? We're getting back to the root of reality. So what I really was trying to get at is that I'm not saying that we should be doormats, because that isn't the case either. But that you were saying, when you naturally get into that state of alignment, the way that you flow through your life will probably get more easy. And that's what I found with my own kind of journey into, like, as a broad spectrum spirituality. You, like we were saying, you go into that flow state and you attract people, and the way that you emanate out into the world kind of gives you that ease almost. So you might come across people that are angry, but it's like, it's not causing you the internal friction. I think when you start to do stuff like that, and I know you mentioned the doctor in the hospital, and they were doing is it Oponopono? I never pronounced it properly. And it's what that's doing. It's extreme personal responsibility, and I think it's I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and that is the principle that everything is emanating from inside of you, and that we have the power to change reality. So how you view people and their experience is going to dictate how you respond to them. So if somebody's coming at you and they're shouting at you, for instance, and you're in a supermarket car park and they're like, hey, F you, and you're in full presence, and you're just like, hey man, what's going on? Disarms them. I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but you do tend to find that your presence will calm people down as well, because you're not reactive. And that's kind of what I was getting at. So it's managing your own internal structures.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's one of those lessons that when people learn, they'll all become more successful and more functional in this life, because people keep themselves too small. You're not that small. You're just as big as everybody else. The only thing that you need to work on is your perceptions. You don't need more talents or more skills. If you want them, you can get them. They're on the internet and they're usually free. But other than that, it's simply your perceptions and how you view the world, view reality, view yourself, view God, view the all. And that's just so profound. This book is a book of perceptions. It's like the original first was all about perceptions, because it is so vital and so key. But I like what you said there, Sam. Sam is, and Kirsten, both you were on that wavelength, and they're both healers, by the way. You guys bring it so naturally. Not everyone has that so naturally. People don't have that wisdom. I didn't have that wisdom originally. I was very immature. And I think most people probably come from more of the space I came from, where you guys have this natural innate maturity, divinity, where like I come from just blaming and shaming. I was a starseed that saw magic, but like there's so much more than seeing magic in this world, which I love seeing magic, but there's so much more to it. So, first things with magic is meditation. If you want to feel more magic in your life, you truly need to meditate more, especially until you find that God spark. That God spark, we talk of the God space, the middle pillar, that one that you can viscerally feel, that you just feel like a fresh breath of air. That starts with meditation. You can later find that place on its own yourself by deep breathing through the nose. But I found, and I haven't heard anyone otherwise, that like you need to find it in meditation first, because you need to find it in a place of stillness where the mind is just no thing in a place. So we're going to put on a meditation, and then that will be the end of the episode. So feel free to just relax. YouTube's going to play something else as soon as the video is over, so it'll be startling for you. But for at least 5 minutes, you're going to sit, relax, and absorb and integrate in the lesson that we just took in today. And I want to thank everyone for being here, all the ladies, and we'll bring you day 2 sometime soon. It's Friday, so early next week probably. We'll bring you day 2 of the Course in Miracles. If you have any questions or concerns about what you want to ask or anything like that, go ahead, send me a question, awakening@transcending.com. We can bring it up. I can name you or not name you, whatever you'd like. If you have comments, concerns, or just questions, bring them here. And we also have a Telegram group that I will get the description for as well and put it in the chats, or the, you know where it goes, description. There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here, ladies. And here we go with our meditation to integrate in today's lesson of what you see does not mean anything. Okay.
A Course in Miracles, Lesson 1. Nothing I see means anything. We close our eyes. We will be opening them up again for this exercise. We take 3 deep breaths to relax our mind and body. The out-breath longer than the in-breath. And to help relax, we remove all expression from our face. Do this now. Place your body in a comfortable position. Take 3 deep breaths and remove all expression from your face. This is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear. But what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists.
Round and round the world we spin. Who knows where we're going? Up into ascension we sail. Pop goes the matrix. Here we stand and here we rise. God resides inside you. You are God, and everything is pop goes the matrix. Children, you are deeply loved. Children, you are special. Never feel alone inside. God lives inside you.